Has it ever happened to you that you're in a shady dark room at night with your phone in your hand, you're doing something that you're not supposed to do? You know very well that you're going to feel guilty doing this, you're going to be sleep deprived tomorrow in the morning, and your whole day will be ruined because of this. That used to be me a couple of years ago. I used to have all sorts of addictions that you can think of, and the level of these addictions, the intensity, it just kept on increasing until I found the concept of mental health. So while I was in the college, I used to go to a park every morning to exercise, and while I was resting between two exercises, I used to meditate. So it was like exercise, and then meditate again, and so on. And that park also had a lot of old men and kids who would just randomly come and start talking to me, which also made me quite social. This whole thing put my mental health on steroids. I noticed that I had a happy, smiling face almost all the time. I was just naturally being more social and talking to a lot of people. My zest for life increased exponentially. Every single day when I went to bed, I was just looking forward to what interesting things are going to happen tomorrow. And then naturally, without me even trying to do anything, my urges for addictions almost disappeared. I went from being in a shady, gloomy, dark room full of addictions to being in a bright, energetic social environment, like how a happy, healthy human being is supposed to be. That was a lot of adjectives, but you get the point. The addictions that you have right now, they are not the main problem. They are the symptoms of the main problem, which is a poor mental health. In this video, I'm going to cover everything from how to become this happy, healthy version of yourself, all the way to some cheap tricks to fix your addictions. So the first most important thing when it comes to fixing your addictions and your mental health is your environment. So generally, I've noticed that being in a bright room like the one I'm in right now, with a lot of sunlight, specifically sunlight, not some normal light, it is a very good thing for your mental health. There is also a lot of scientific data proving the relation between sunlight and your mental health. So what you can do right now is, instead of sitting in a shady, gloomy, dark room, take your table and your chair and put it near a window. Make sure that there is enough sunlight coming in your room, and if you have a balcony, then just try to spend your time there because that is also a very good thing. In general, just being outside is also a very good thing because I've noticed that when I'm outside and talking to a lot of people, I just feel less urges for doing these bad habits. Which also brings us to our next point, which is being around people. So humans are supposed to be social creatures, and talking can boost your mental health significantly. When you talk to a lot of people, the urges for bad habits will start disappearing. Another direct benefit is that when someone is keeping their eye on you, it is going to be more difficult for you to do something that you're not supposed to do. So even if you're in a closed room and someone is watching you, you're less likely to do those bad habits. The next thing is destroying the trigger. Make it difficult, very, very difficult. And if possible, make it impossible for you to do those bad habits. So your brain has a certain thing called as default mode network. Basically, when you're not doing something important, this default mode network is activated and your brain goes to autopilot. You randomly start doing things without even realizing it. It can be things like scrolling on Instagram or watching YouTube videos like this. These patterns, like scrolling on Instagram or watching these YouTube videos, it is ingrained in your brain. And to stop something that is automatic, you are supposed to do something that breaks these patterns. Ideally, you should try to avoid getting into this default mode network, this automatic mode of your brain, by being busy almost all the time. But since that is not very practical, let me tell you something that is more practical. So think of your bad habit that is automatic and you want to get rid of it, and try to make it as difficult as possible. So for example, for scrolling on Instagram, it can be something as simple as setting some very complicated password on Instagram so that every time you open Instagram, it is not automatic. You think that, oh, I set this complicated password because I'm trying to get rid of my addiction. And you break out of this default mode network. Or it can be something very extreme like permanently deleting your Instagram account, like I did. The next solution is by taking immediate action as soon as you start feeling the urges for doing those bad habits. So take a moment and think of how you act upon your addictions. You get the thought of doing something bad, you think that, okay, there is no harm in thinking about it. Then you think about it more, time goes by, it escalates, and then you act upon that thing. The problem here is that you're letting yourself indulge in the thought of doing that bad habit, and eventually you feel like doing it even more and more, and you act upon it. Ideally, what you should do is you stop thinking about it as soon as the thought comes. As soon as you get the urges for your addictions, immediately stop your brain from thinking about that thing. And then finally, the last trick is just forcing yourself. The most difficult phase of getting rid of any addiction is the starting phase. For the first week, your urges are going to keep on increasing. And for this first week alone, just think that you're going to die or something if you act upon your addictions. Use every single bit of willpower you have in the first week, and eventually your brain will start changing, the connection between neurons will break, and you will start getting rid of these bad habits. And yeah, that's how I did it. Thank you for watching, and check the description if you want me to help you with this stuff one to one. And yeah, bye bye.